Hello everyone. So welcome you all to Ishok Tutorials Meghalaya's first MTech channel. So my dear friends, today in this video we are going to discuss LP section environmental studies, right? Environmental science. So here today in this video we are going to specifically talk about environmental pollution and control. What's that? Environmental pollution and control. So we will be dealing with air pollution, water pollution, and land or soil pollution. So, environmental pollution is the introduction of harmful substances or contaminants into the natural environment, causing adverse effects on ecosystem, human health, and well-being. Pollution control refers to the measures taken to mitigate or prevent pollution. Here are explanations and examples for air, water, and soil pollutions and their control. Now you see, what is air pollution, what is water pollution, what is soil pollution. So all this pollution means contamination or a contamination of water. When the water is dirty, when the air is dirty, when the land is dirty, which is not suitable for the human beings, for the animals, for the fishes, for the different life forms like the plants, right? When the environment is not suitable to live and survive for the human beings, the animals, the plants, then it is known as pollution, right? So it means the addition of toxic substances into the environment. So environmental pollution means the contamination of the natural environment, causing different effects on the ecosystem, which will imbalance the ecosystem. The pollution can imbalance the ecosystem. Then what it can do is that the pollution can cause different type of diseases into the human beings, into the animals, into the plants, airborne diseases, waterborne diseases, right? So different type of diseases can be caused to the human, plants, and animals. And also through soil pollution. How is soil polluted? Soil is polluted when the farmers, they are making use of chemical fertilizers into their fields and agriculture. So due to bioaccumulation, right, there is a problem known as bioaccumulation, which is caused when the land or the soil is polluted by the excessive use of chemical fertilizers into the agricultural field. What is bioaccumulation now? Bioaccumulation means, suppose if you are eating vegetables or fruits which are contaminated by chemical fertilizers, then that chemicals or toxic substances will be accumulated into your body. All right, your body will, be getting, along with the fruits, your body will also get the chemicals which was introduced into that plant or that vegetable, right? Now let us talk about air pollution. Definition: the contamination of the earth's atmosphere by harmful substances such as gases, particulate matters, and chemicals which can have detrimental effects on human health and the environment. Now you see, when can I say the air is polluted? I can say that the air is polluted when there is introduction of the harmful gases into the atmosphere. For example, the introduction of carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, methane, and chlorofluorocarbons, the greenhouse gases. So when these gases are introduced into the Earth's atmosphere, then I can say that the air is polluted. Also, the introduction of particulate matter, SPM, or suspended particulate matter, all right, and also different type of chemicals. So which these chemicals or these harmful gases have detrimental effects into the human beings and also to the environment and the plant and animals. All right, now here example: particulate matter, PM 2.5 and PM 10. Emission from vehicles and industrial processes can release fine particles that can lead to respiratory diseases. Now you see, airborne diseases are very easy to be caused when these particulate matters are released from the vehicles, from the bikes, from the industries. Here particularly we are talking about the vehicles. It can cause the respiratory problems or infections. It can affect your lungs, right? And then you can suffer from different type of airborne diseases. Now we have here greenhouse gases. So what are greenhouse gases? The burning of fossil fuels like coal and oil releases carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, contributing to climate change. Now you see, greenhouse gases means the gases which are released by burning of fossil fuels, of burning of petrols, then diesel, then you know kerosene or different type of fossil fuels which when you are making use of them, then the greenhouse gases or the gases like carbon dioxide are released into the earth's atmosphere. So these harmful gases are very harmful to the human beings, to the plants, to the animals, and also to the entire ecosystem. All right, and this is responsible for the climate change. Now you will see whole world is talking about climate change. Now we can see that the climate has really changed. Before, in Meghalaya we used to have winter. In Garo Hills also, by September we need to put our jackets. By yes, by September we have to wear jackets. We use fire, right, so that we feel warm. But now you will see that just by December or by the end of November only we start feeling the winter. Why? Because the climate has changed. Now you will see that many places they receive excess amount of rain, and there are some places which do not receive even little amount of rain. Now why? This is also because of climate change. So due to climate change, global warming is happening, and global warming is melting the ice of the polar regions, right? So the polar regions ice are melting every year, and the level of water is keeping on rising day by day, which ultimately will sink the earth in its own water if not taken care today. So we as the citizen, as the human beings, as the owner of this ecosystem, we should take or play a pivotal role in protecting our natural resources, plants, and animals. Now, control emission standards. So, how can we control air pollution? Emission standards set limits on pollutant emission from industries and vehicles. Now, you see, the manufacturing companies, the government should set a limit that the pollution allowed by certain vehicles or all the vehicles should be only up to this limit, only up to this scale, and it should not excess. That's why you will see these days the pollution control, right? You see, whenever you are driving, the police, they ask for your RC, they ask for your driving license, they're asking for your insurance, they're asking for your pollution certificate, right? Why pollution certificate they ask it? Because of this reason. Use of cleaner technologies, encourage the adoption of cleaner energy sources like renewable energy and electric vehicles. Now you see, people are no longer using petrols or diesels in their vehicles. Instead, they are running vehicles by CNG or by electric mode or by batteries, right? Why? So that these energy do not pollute the environment. We know green energy, they never pollute the environment. The CNG and the batteries or the electric vehicles, it cause no harm to the environment. But use of petrol, diesel vehicles are very harmful to the environment. Afforestation, reforestation, planting trees to absorb CO2 and filter the air. Now you see, what is deforestation? All of you understand what is deforestation, right? Deforestation means cutting down of trees in excess, exploiting the nature. You are cutting down the tree unnecessarily. Even when necessary, you are cutting it down in excess. So that is called deforestation. But have you ever heard about afforestation or reforestation? It is the opposite of deforestation, which means when you say afforestation or reforestation, it means that it is the process of planting trees in excess. Now, why do we plant trees? Because we know that we coexist with plants, right? We need oxygen and plants, they need carbon dioxide. We release carbon dioxide and plants release oxygen. So when plants release oxygen, we take up the oxygen and we release carbon dioxide. And when we release the carbon dioxide, the plants, they take up the CO2, right? Carbon dioxide. So that is the mutual relationship which we have with the plants. So when we reduce the amount of CO2 into the atmosphere, how can we do it? We can do it by planting more and more trees, because the carbon dioxide which we are releasing will be absorbed by the plants. Now, if the number of humans are more than the number of plants, then we cannot survive anymore. So that's why, my dear friends, plant a tree on your every birthday. Every year we have birthday, right? So whenever it's your birthday, please plant trees. Even you can plant it on other special days also, maybe your marriage anniversary, maybe your kid's birthday, maybe on children's day, maybe on parents day, maybe on teachers day, maybe on independence day, republic day, then water day or AIDS day or environment day. So any day you can plant it, right? We'll continue about water pollution. Definition: the contamination of water bodies like rivers, lakes, and oceans with pollutants, including chemicals, sewage, and waste, which can harm aquatic ecosystem and human health. Now you see, water pollution means the contamination, the pollution, the dirtying of water bodies. But what are the water bodies? The water bodies can be rivers, can be oceans, can be ponds, can be lakes, can be underground waters. All right. And how do we pollute the land, or how do we pollute the water? We are polluting the water by releasing chemicals, by making use of fertilizers, by drainage system, by improper drainage system, by releasing the sewage waste into the water bodies, by releasing the thermal waste, by releasing the household waste. We are harming the water, and at the same time we are destroying the aquatic ecosystem. You know that in water there are fishes, there are crustaceans, right, annelids. So all those animals, they live under the water. So when we are polluting the water by throwing plastics, dead bodies, decayed bodies, right, papers, then also electronics or whatever, if we are throwing these types of unhygienic waste, or by releasing the factories waste, or the industries waste, or by just connecting the waste into the water bodies, then we are disturbing the ecosystem, aquatic ecosystem, and we are responsible for the killing of fishes, crustaceans, annelids, mollusks, right? We are the one who is responsible for the killing of the phytoplanktons and the zooplankton, right? So that's why. And also, this water pollution does not harm only the aquatic ecosystem, it is also harming the human beings, the animals, right? We are not able to get proper clean water. The water will cause different type of waterborne diseases like dysentery, cholera, right? So this type of disease we can be infected by if we are consuming the polluted water. So it's in our hand, my dear friends, it's in our hand. If we want to survive with good health, then we should protect the nature. If we are destroying the water, the air, the land, then at the end of the day it is we who will be suffering along with the natural ecosystem, right? Now let us see some of the examples. Industrial discharges: factories may release harmful chemicals and heavy metals into water bodies, causing toxicity. Now you see, factories and industries, they are releasing their waste materials directly into the water bodies, hence they are causing water pollution. Sewage and wastewater: inadequately treated sewage can reintroduce pathogens and nutrients, leading to waterborne diseases and algal bloom. Now you see, from the factories and industries you will also see sewage and wastewater coming out, which can introduce the pathogens, the microorganisms and nutrients. So these pathogens and the nutrient, so nutrient of course is good for the water, right? But then it will give rise to the weeds, unwanted plants, algal bloom is there. You will see most of the water of the lake or the pond is covered green, right, with the green plants, small green plants you will see on the top of water. What is it? That is called algal bloom, which means algae has grown on the surface of the water. When the algae has grown on the surface of the water, then the fishes living under the water, the amphibians living under the water, the mollusk living under the water, the annelids living under the water, the animals living under the water, they are not able to get proper nutrients and oxygen, right? They are deprived of oxygen and nutrients because so many algae has grown on the surface of the water, which is green in color, of course you have seen. So these algae are taking up all the nutrients and oxygen from the water. And not only this, remember, when there is algal bloom, or when the algae is growing on the surface of the water, they are blocking the sunlight from reaching the water body, right? So those animals who are living inside the water, they are not able to get the sunlight, right? They are not getting the sunlight. So this algal bloom is bad for the water ecosystem, right? Now, control. How can we control water pollution? So water treatment: proper treatment of sewage and industrial effluents before discharge into water bodies. So before you discharge water from the industries and factories, make sure that it is something, or it is somehow, you have removed the waste material from the water, or you have already filtered the water before you release into the water bodies. Regulation, enforcement laws to limit pollutant discharges into water bodies. So there should be certain laws and regulations, so that what is the limit of the pollutant which can be released by the factories and industries. So government should do certain work in there. Conservation, encourage responsible water use and the protection of watersheds. Now you see, conservation means use the water judiciously and responsibly, and also protect the wastage of water, and the pollution of water. Now the different type of pollution we have is soil pollution. Soil pollution is also known as land pollution. Now the contamination of the earth's soil by substances like heavy metals, pesticides, and hazardous chemicals, which can degrade soil quality and harm ecosystems. So when the earth's surface, the earth's surface is divided into three parts. There is crust, mantle, and the core, right? So crust, mantle, and core. We are living on which part? We are living on the crust, right, on the outer surface of the earth. So these outer surface of the earth, when it's get polluted or contaminated by the metals, by the pesticides, by the microbes, by the microorganisms and hazardous chemicals, they can degrade the soil quality and harm or imbalance the ecosystems. This soil pollution is not harming only the soil, it is harming the human beings, the animals, and the plants as a whole. So how is soil pollution caused? Let us see. Pesticides and herbicides. Overuse of agricultural chemicals can contaminate soil and harm soil organisms. Now you see, these days people know that the demand is more, so the supply should also be more, right? We know that India is unfortunately the most populated country in the world, so the demand is very, very high for the agricultural product, for the food, for the clothing, for everything, right? For the employment. So here, since the demand for the vegetables and the fruits and the agricultural products are very high, what the farmers are doing is that they are making use of chemicals and fertilizers in their field. So whenever they are growing crops, they are making use of herbicides, and at the same time they are also making use of pesticides. So these pesticides and herbicides, what does it do? It help in order to kill the herbs and also the unwanted insects, because the requirement is more, so the supply should be more. So they are using fertilizers, and at the same time they are also using pesticides and herbicides to kill the germs which eats up the plant. So to these pesticides, if you are applying in higher concentration, if you are applying these pesticides in higher concentration, these weedicides, then what happens is that they kill the animal, at the same time they also kill the plant, and they are polluting the soil also. So that's why, my dear friends, it's very important that we make use of pesticides and herbicides very, very judiciously, and also the use of chemical fertilizers very, very effectively, or very, very judiciously, right? Now heavy metals. Industrial activities can release lead, cadmium, and mercury, which persist in soil may either enter the food chain. Now you see, heavy metals. What are heavy metals? Heavy metals can be the mercury, which is very, very poisonous, can be cadmium, can be lead. So these chemicals or these heavy metals, they stay on the soil for a longer period of time, and they do not vanish. They do not, exit the ecosystem. They stay in the food chain for a longer amount of time. So it is very difficult to remove them from the ecosystem. All right. So what we can do is that soil remediation techniques to clean up contaminated soil, like soil washing and bioremediation. So what we can do is that soil remediation means it is a technique which is used in order to clean up the soil, reducing chemical use, promote sustainable farming practices, and the use of organic farming methods. Now you see, reducing chemical use means do not use this chemical fertilizers. Instead, use organic materials to grow the plant and make your production a large one. Regulations, implement laws to prevent the disposal of hazardous waste inappropriate. Now also there should be certain laws and regulations, rules and regulations, that government should implement, that nobody is throwing the hazardous waste into the land indiscriminately. Effective pollution control involves a combination of regulations, technological advancement, and public awareness to minimize the impact of pollution on our environmental health. Now you see, We cannot do alone everything. So we all have to come together, join our hands, and follow the rules and regulations, apply certain technologies which will benefit us, which will give us more production without harming the environment. And also we should educate the public that what is the importance of protecting the soil, what is the importance of protecting the land, what is the importance of protecting the air, and what is the importance of protecting the water. And we should not throw the harmful waste into the water bodies, onto the land, and also into the atmosphere. We should not, where you can just walk and go, rather take bicycle or just walk and go rather than using your bike or scooty, because that will release the exhaust, the because you are burning the fossil fuel, petrol or diesel, right? So that will pollute the air. So also don't throw waste materials into the water bodies, all right? Don't throw the plastics or any unwanted plastic bottles. Last time when I went to Mumbai, so I was visiting one island. So what happened is that I was so sorry to see that in the middle of the sea, in the middle of the ocean, what we found is that, all right, in the middle of the Arabian Sea, yes, what we found is that bottles were floating on the surface of the sea, which is very, very sad. The people, they have eaten chips, they have eaten chana, they have eaten, or they have taken the juice, right, or the water bottles. All these things were floating on the surface of the sea. So who is responsible for that? You and me. We are responsible for the pollution of the ocean. See, now the people are so selfish that they are not even sparing the seas or the oceans. They are just polluting that as well, right? We have polluted the entire land, we have polluted the air, and now we are leaving no stones unturned, and we are polluting the ocean and the seas also. So my dear friends, it's my humble request that whenever you visit any public places, please make sure that you don't pollute that, all right? And whenever you're traveling by bus or a private vehicle or anything, don't throw the plastic waste from your window, vehicle window. Don't throw that, or don't throw it outside. Just keep it inside, or just put it in your pocket, in your bag, or just keep the plastics or the waste water bottles or waste juice bottles, anything inside the car, so that when you get down, you clean the car and you can collect the waste materials at once, collect it together and throw it. But when you are throwing it on the road from the window, then who will collect it from the road? Nobody is going to collect it, right? So it's going to lie there only, and it will cause air pollution also, water pollution also, and soil pollution also. So that's why you should take care of that, all right? And also ask your students not to throw anything out of the bus window or anywhere, anything, right? So I think this is all in this video. So thank you everyone for staying connected with Ashok Tutorials, Meghalaya's first empty channel. Thank you.